Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Upadesha Saaram is Veda Saaram, just like the Bhagavad Gita, in 30 short verses. Verse 21. Idamaham pada abhikyamanvaham ahamilinake pyalaya sattaya. Bhagavan Ramana explains about two aham. One aham is vachyartha, literal, immediate meaning. It stands for ahamkara, identified with the body. The second aham is lakshyartha, implied meaning, which goes deeper all the way into the innermost atma, which is parama purna sat, which cannot be negated. It is nitya vastu. Idam vritti is vachyartha, aham vritti is lakshyartha. All the idam thoughts of the mind are dependent on aham, individuality. One aham dissolves, laya, in deep sleep, meditation, etc. The aham is the real aham, which is Ishvara, which is alaya, free from laya, destruction, satvastu. Doing nija vicharanam, self-inquiry, reveals the real indestructible aham. Really speaking, there's only one aham. When identified with body, it is the jiva, which suffers bondage. When identified with pure consciousness, Brahma Satyam, it is liberated. Verse 22. Vigrahendriya pranadhitamaha nahamekha sat tajjadam hyasat. In this verse, Maharishi, in his cryptic style, gives the method of Panchakosha Prakriya. How to resolve the mind, snake to rope, waves to water. Vigraha refers to Annamaya Kosha, gross body. Indriya refers to Manomaya Kosha, subtle body. Prana refers to Pranamaya Kosha, vital air. Dhi refers to Vijnanamaya Kosha, intellect. Tamaha refers to Anandamaya Kosha, which is tamas, ajnanam, ignorance, the causal body. In one word, Maharshi has compressed all these five koshas. Na aham, I am none of these. Then who are you? Who am I? I am that ekam sat. Beyond these five coverings, pancha kosha atita. Tad jadam. Each of these pancha koshas is inert matter. It is he, asat, indeed false, mithya. Mind gives reality to the world, so the cause of bondage is in my mind. Why am I not the panchakoshas? Because it is panchabhautikam, made of 5 elements. It is savikari, subject to change. It is agamopayinaha, arrives and departs, impermanent. It is put together, karya karana sangata. It is drishya vastu, experienced, seen. Verse 23. Sattva bhasika chittva ketara sattaya hi chit chittaya hyaham. Another cryptic verse, path of direct inquiry, Ramana Marga, is explained. Chit, kwa itara. Is there any other chit, Chaitanyam, which will illumine chit, jnana swarupaha? Answer is no. It is Sat, pure existence. Sat is pure existence. Chit is awareness, invariable constant. Wherever there is a mind, there will be knowingness. Sat is Chit and Chit is Sat. Atma is Sat and Chit at the same time. Sadeva Chit and Chideva Sat is the understanding of this cryptic verse 23. I am, and I know that I am. I am indeed Sat, and I know that I am Chit. Being is knowing. These verses will only appeal to mumukshus who pursue the higher truths. Om Tat Sat. Om Mama.
Om Gurubhyo Namaha. 24th verse is an important verse presenting the vision of Vedanta. Isha Jivayo Veshadibhida Satsvabhavato Vastu Kevalam. Let me start with Atma Vichara that gives us an insight into me, how I am, Stula Sukshma Karana Sharira Vyatiriktaha, or Panchakoshatita, other than the three bodies. Here the question is, where is Ishvara and what is the role of Ishvara? Everything in the universe happens by the grace of Ishvara, that is ordained by him who is the Jagat Karana. Jagat Karta, sorry. Then what is the difference between Ishvara and Jiva? This verse 24 in the Upadesha Saaram is known as Mahavakyam, a classic masterpiece of Maharishi, who puts it as Jiva Ishvara Aikya Jnanam. The difference between Ishvara and the individual, that is the Jiva, is the three bodies: the physical body, the subtle body, and the causal body, commonly known as Atma, interconnected by the vital force energy, the prana. The three bodies are the upadis, the costume of the jiva, the aikya jnanam. The difference is only the appearance between Ishvara and the jiva. The essential nature of Ishvara and the jiva is Sat, the pure. When the costume, that is the upadi, is taken off or removed, there is nothing but Tattvamasi. Here the Maharishi uses Vesha for the bodies, the costume for the jiva. Vesha is the upadi in which any factor limits the avidya upadi. The I notion in the bodies is avidya, hence the bodies become avidya upadi for the jiva. Does Ishvara have an upadi? Yes, Ishvara's upadi is the Maya upadi, which is pure sattva. So the difference is due to these bodies of the personality, Veshadhi Bhida, the true nature, the essence of reality, Sat Swabhavataha Vastu, is realized. On reality, there is no separation, but only oneness. When the limitations of the bodies or the identifications of the bodies are due to ignorance or by awareness, we experience that God and us, Ishvara and Jiva, Isha Jivayo, are one and the same. There is no separation but only oneness. Separation is only an illusion for a purpose or a cause. Spiritually, there is only oneness. The next verse says, Veshahanataha Swatmadarshanam Ishadarshanam Swatmarupataha. When one eliminates or abandons the Vesha, the vision of oneself appears, which is the vision of God, as He is of the form of oneself. Thus, we enjoy the Atma Darshanam. One's essential nature is Isha Darshanam or Swatma Darshanam. We also enjoy self knowledge, that is Isha Darshanam or Swatma Rupataha. When the destruction of the idea of relation to the cause of macrocosm takes place, vision of oneself appears. God Himself is the form of oneself that becomes the vision of God, which is none other than the vision of one's pure self. As the self devoid of the Vesha is unlimited, the experience is also not limited but complete. Thank you. Om Tat Sat.
Oh, Gurubhyo Namaha. Just as Vatsala Mahodaya said, that in verse 24 and 25, she talked about Paramatma and Jivatma. Now here in 26 and 27, Ramana Maharishi is actually going to say there is nothing called a Jivatma and Paramatma, but only one Tattvam, that is Atma Tattvam. Atma Samstiti Swatma Darshanam Atma Nirdvayat Atma Nishtaya Jnana Varjita Ajnana Hinachit Jnana Mastikim Jnatumantaram. Here in these slokas, Maharishi is explaining what is that Aikya. He says that Atma is non-dual and abiding in oneself is Atma Darshanam or Aikya. Steady abidance in the Atma is Atma Darshanam. In that state, the mind or Ahankara is not chasing anything outside, but it is abiding in the Atma Tattvam. Atma is non-dual. Abiding in its own self is what one says as being fixed in oneself. Atma knowledge is not like the Vyavaharika Vidya, where there is a subject to be learned and the learner. But this is not possible in the Atma Jnana. As I said before, it is not non-dual. It is non-dual. Atma cannot be an object, cannot be objectified or experienced. It is nothing but self-realization. It does not happen when one reaches a certain sadhana or a certain place or time. As it is a self-experience, it can happen anytime. It is abiding in oneself and realizing Aham Brahmasmi. I am neither Jivatma nor Ishvara, but pure Atma or Nirguna Chaitanya. This is Swatma Darshana. Atma is the observer, so it cannot be the object of observation. In the next sloka, Ramana Maharishi says that we are always Atma Jnanis. That is, we are ever Jnanis. So there is no arrival of Jnana. He asked, is there another second knower to know Atma? The answer is obviously no. This means that there is no special experience as Atma experience. The nature of Atma, Chit, is itself Jnanam, which is experienced by everybody all the time. But because of Atma Avidya, they do not realize that the Atma Jnanam. So, when one says one attains Atma Jnanam, there is no such thing as attaining. When it is already there, how can you attain it? The fact the Atma Jnanam is hidden because of the attributes centered on body-mind complex as oneself. When the attributes are removed and one realizes that I am the Atma, he does not need any Jnana because the nature of Atma is that. So to reveal Jnanam, Ajnanam has to be removed. Shastras helps us to remove the attributes and reveal the Jnanam, which is always there. So what we are learning here in our classes is not to attain Jnanam, but to remove Ajnanam. If the I am is retained and all the frills after that are removed, we are abiding in that Jnanam. When we know the way to a place, we do not need a GPS or a map to reach the place. In the same way, when the Atma Jnanam is realized, there is no Jnanam or Ajnanam, as the Jnanam becomes second nature. Once the Atma is known, the thought or vrittis of Atma Tattvam also disappears, so Chit becomes the Sakshi. Atma is ever the knower and never the known. It will always remain the knower or the experiencer. Om Tat Sat. Dhanyavadamma.
Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Verse 28. Kim Swarupamiti Atma Darshane Avyaya Bhava Apurna Chit Sukham. Kim Swarupamiti Atma Darshane Avyaya Bhava Apurna Chit Sukham. Let us try to understand the true nature of Atma Darshana. It is Avyaya, Abhava, Apurna, Chit and Sukham. We all want Anandam. Shastras are going to explain, you are that Anandam. But from where the Anandam comes? The bliss, happiness coming from? The mind, that desiring is agitated. But after that, the mind becomes calm. The Atma Ananda flashes as Pratibimba Ananda. Anandam is in my mind. It is called Naimitika Ananda. That is happiness due to some reason. But when that situation ends, the Anandam also vanishes. We attribute our Ananda to a particular situation or person or event. But when that situation ends, the Anandam also disappears. This Anandam, which is due to external reason, is the reflected Anandam. But Atma is the single source of Anandam. Apeshika Anandam is birthless, not born. Apurnam, fullness, limitless. Chit, awareness and knowledge. Chaitanyam. One should not get attached to anything. We need vairagyam or strong detachment. Atma is in me. Atman plus vasanas is equal to human being. Human being minus vasanas is equal to Atman. When vasanas or ignorance are destroyed by knowledge, the ego vanishes and the man realizes his supreme self.
Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. So it was really wonderful to listen to all the 4 speakers today. And
Thank you.
we could make out your clarity, starting from Jayashree, talked about the 2 ahams, very nicely speaking the words shlokas. And then Vatsala, of course, had this great Vedantic equation, Mahavakya, Vichara, explaining to us the 2 upadhis. It was very nice. And Sushila, I think, had the toughest portion.
Yes. Yes.
And I was like sitting on my edge. But she managed it very, very nicely to show us that how Sakshi is all-knowing, and there is no ignorance for Atma, basically, a tough verse that was, but correctly expressed. And finally, Vijaya had only one verse, but the verse, that we all want to listen because it's all about Anandam. And you also, Vijaya, brought it out very nicely.
Thank you. Thank you.
Ananda versus Swarupananda. All these verses are so loaded. And
yes, very difficult, very difficult.
But you all must have experienced some Vidyananda having
that is there.
So, no pain, no gain, right? So when we work hard, and that's the joy of sacrifice, tapas, and nothing is easy in life, no? To get even experiential Ananda, so much effort. Then today we're going to see, Bhagavan is going to say this self-knowledge is the highest tapas, which is, as somebody said in the last class, which is so easy and yet so difficult, both at the same time. And
it looks easy, but it is very difficult.
Actually, Amma, to think that you are that jnanam, that itself is such a mind-boggling thing.
Yeah.
That it is so difficult to comprehend such an idea
Right.
that it becomes second nature to you. That's such a nice what you say experience, I should say.
Yeah, that's true. It's very, it is not staggering and stunning.
Yes, that's it.
And
Very.
Upanishads just start with that vision, whereas Gita and all, there's a build-up, so that our minds will not get short-circuited. But as Swamiji says, we have to fake it and make it, as they say in English. So we can repeat Brahma eva asmi, muktaha aham brahmasmi. Although we don't feel like this all-inclusive, Paramatma. But fake it means one day, it will become a solid reality for us. And so these are the steps. Shravana, Mananam, Nityam, Nirantara Abhyasa.
Yes, Amma. Really, we should thank you for that. Otherwise, we would not have studied this much. For last 2 days, I have been in this only, doing, writing, cutting.